Oh, hi, this is Maria. I am out here on a beautiful sunny December day. This is California, sorry guys, with Chef Geronimo Ramos, and we are harvesting mussels. You want to make sure when you're harvesting them, especially in California, that you're only doing it between the end of October and the beginning of May. And this is because there can be domoic acid or other unhealthy algae in the water, and that can make the mussels toxic. So I always check, I call the hotline first, Fish and Wildlife, make sure it's okay. But the same thing that can make these guys toxic is also what makes them an important part of the ecosystem. They are filter feeders, which means they are constantly filtering the water. So they are making it clean from biotoxins, but also naturally occurring planktons and algae. And that way, more sunlight can get down to plants, get down to green things, and it can photosynthesize. So they can photosynthesize and create habitat. They also happen to be very delicious. So we are careful to just take a few. We just take them with our hands so we don't damage these little webbings between them. This is known as, I believe it's pronounced bissel, but it's kind of a webbing that holds them on there. Even if you aren't going to go out and forage mussels, they're an excellent choice. They're a regenerative seafood when they are grown on farms. And this is something Geronimo knows a lot about. So Geronimo, why is this a really good choice of a seafood, say just buying at the store or even in tins of seafood?
Yeah, they are a regenerative option. They require no input or feed. So they're really great. They also filter the ocean and the water. So they're just an awesome protein source. The more we eat them, the more we grow them, the more demand for the farms, and the more that we have them out in the ocean, the more they clean the water. So actually, it's a win-win for all.
Yeah, so that's what when we're talking about regenerative foods, that's what we mean. It's foods that's not just sustainable, but it makes the ecosystem even better. Yep. So you want to make sure that you have a fishing license. You've checked to make sure there's no domoic acid or anything like that in the water by calling your local hotlines. And then you also want to come out on a low tide. And then I take a few from this rock, and then we'll move to another rock. And then we'll take a few from this rock and move to another rock. So we aren't really, you never want to scrape a rock clean.
Yeah.
So, and do it in a clean area.
Yeah. Well, that's why the farmed option is also great too. They do the monitoring for you, make sure there's no toxins. So also great option.
Yeah, and those are generally not next to a city.
Yeah.
So yeah. We're going to go, and Geronimo's going to show us one of his favorite dishes to make with mussels.
Today we're making a dish called tinolang tahong. It is a mussel soup cooked in a ginger broth. And it's tinola is the type of style of soup cooked in the ginger broth, and tahong means mussels in Tagalog. And this is such a classic soup. It's usually made with chicken, but growing up when mussels were on sale, my grandma would purchase this usually on the weekends to give us a special treat with mussels.
So the Philippines is just a whole lot of islands, right?
It's over like 3,000 islands.
3,000 islands,
yeah.
My God. So seafood's kind of your jam over there.
It is, yes, definitely, for sure. Oh, we go nuts over seafood. Yeah, today we have some julienne ginger. It's a ginger broth, so we're using tons of ginger. We got some garlic here. I'm gonna slice up some onion. And then here we have moringa leaves, superfood. This is an important dish for me and my family because it's kind of like our version of the chicken noodle soup. It's very comforting and healing, and something that's easy to make at home. Actually, in this dish, we also add fish sauce, and that's very important for Filipino food. We like adding fermented things like fish sauce, fermented from anchovies, also fermented shrimp paste, and it gives it that funk, that umami, that strong punch of savory flavor. And oftentimes in Filipino food, we need to balance it with something acidic like a citrus or a vinegar. A lot of our food is very rich. But this dish, honestly, is perfectly balanced, very savory, and the broth flavored with a fish sauce, but also flavored with the aromatics of the ginger, make it very balanced. Mussel liqueur has that special briny oceanic flavor, and it's such a treat just to have that. And when it mixes with the aromatics in here, it just becomes a perfect balance of like gingery, comforting ocean flavors. I don't know, like we just love ocean taste. Spain has impacted our cuisine. So actually the Filipino trinity is garlic, onion, tomato. just like Spanish food.
Which it probably was not native to the Philippines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tomato was awesome. Changed our cuisine. But also we have a second trinity, which is in the soup, which is garlic, onion, ginger.
Okay.
So we have two kinds depending on what you're trying to do. But like the Spanish influence, for example, we have a dish called chicken afritada. It is such a Spanish Italian dish. It's like chicken braised in tomato sauce with olives and onion. Like, it doesn't even scream Filipino until you add fish sauce. The mussel liqueur is what makes this soup super special versus the classic where we use chicken, but you know, when we use mussels, it gives it that oceanic umami flavor, very briny, and just comforting overall with the aromatics of the ginger broth. The moringa, and we don't have to cook it much. We just have to let it wilt a bit in the residual heat. A lot of things these days, people are just throwing in garums and umami-based salts or using mushroom to give it that funk and earthiness and kind of everything.
Yeah, miso. Miso is one of mine.
Yes.
I love putting that into.
Rice, actually, I think there's like, you know, I'm Filipino American, so forgive my Tagalog, but like, all food is kind of considered a side dish to rice.
Okay.
Like rice is the main.
It's
like
the staple.
You'll get a big plate of rice and then everything you eat with it is side dish. So this soup would be a side dish.
Okay.
We call it palutan. Honestly, I feel like any mussel dish with ginger is just like amazing.
So just the ginger and mussels are gonna, well, any ginger broth. I mean, have you ever had a ginger broth you didn't like? We got a perfect day. Look at this. And thank you so much for coming out here and showing us how to do this. And if people want to learn more about sustainable seafood and about Filipino food, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram mostly, but I'm also on TikTok and YouTube. My handle is @Geronimo C. Ramos. It's just my name. And also, I've been working on a recipe website, geronimocooks.com. Check it out. If I get more traffic, it'll inspire me to make more recipes.
All right, you guys, it just doesn't get any more beautiful or any more delicious, any more rustic than being on a beach, eating mussels. And the only way it can be better is if you have a Filipino chef teaching you how to make it.
Yeah.